Okay, so I'm going to start off telling you that there ended up being some corrupt video, and towards the endish of this very long video, I will do some backstepping and telling you, explaining more better what it was that I had done. Okay. Hey y'all, APG Jamie here, and today we finally got around to putting together, assembling, decorating, semi-decorating, not really decorating, not embellishing, our winter journal. Y'all remember those cluster embellishments we made back in December? Probably. We made some winter holiday embellishments for the 4th Art Saturday, and I loved them so much I thought, well, I'm going to have to make a journal to put them in. So that's what we're doing. And I've just got some coffee dyed or tea dyed, I can't remember which, copy weight paper. So it's just regular paper, regular size, 8.5 by 11, folded in half. I've basically assembled however many pages I had put together into what will become a signature, okay? And we are using, so the phone rang and I had to answer it, and I don't remember where I left off. That's a real story. Anyway, copy weight paper, coffee dyed, tea dyed, whichever one it was, and we are using our brushes, our makeup brushes from the Dollar Tree, to apply some archival ink. Now, I'm also using some paper on the cover, okay, some paper from the ghost journal that we did back last November. Okay, we did some mono printing of copy weight paper for a ghost journal and the leftovers, and I'm like, yes. So the reason this journal, okay, because sometimes I feel like I have to explain stuff, y'all, is not in the blues like most winter stuff is because where I live down here in Texas, winters are warm. That's not to say they never get cold or we never get snow, and it's darn sure not to say we never get frozen, because we've had that experience. Remember that last February 2021? Oh, heartbreak all over again. Anywho, we're kind of on the warm side of winter, okay? So anyway, that's my colorings theory on that. Here we're doing some heat embossing. I know you really can't see, but you know, I didn't know that when I was filming. This part of the recording came out, so we kept it, all right? And yes, it's all been sped up, even though it's a very long video. Okay, settling in. The plan to take a lunch break. Okay. So y'all know I've done this before many times. Oh, headshot. And I like to do it. I take different colors of embossing powders and mix them together. And in this case, I had some leftover embossing powder that looks like it had whites and yellows in it. And by yellows, I mean now it's a cream color, okay. And then we put some of that tinsel white in there, and we did just a little sprinkling of gold, because our cover has gold threads in it, sort of, okay. Which, if you saw the thumbnail, you might be already expecting that at some point. So anyway, now I've got enough embossing powders in my little leftover jar there that we just use that and don't mix them anymore, because I got plenty. Because, you know, it goes a real long way. And makes me stinking happy. And no, you can't necessarily see the magic on the screen when it melts, and that was sad and disappointing. But I got my signatures, you know, however many pages that we had to put together. And I'm using paper clips to hold down more or less steady because I want both sides of this paper to have the same finish. And I've got two signatures. They have the same finishes, but they're not exactly necessarily in the same order, okay? Front and back page is the same. The two pages that meet between the signatures are the same. And the center signature is basically the same, only on one of them we did one stencil with faces on it, and on the other one we did a series of faces, different faces with the stencil, which we've not gotten to that part yet. That's the center one, y'all, which you'll see. And I did only show doing the one signature because the second one is so much like the first one. Now, because I had the coffee tea-dyed papers, I thought I'd use the white distress ink or whatever it is, y'all. Description box has a list of ingredients. Be prepared, it's long. Much like the video. And I'm going along, and the white really doesn't show up. But there was some kind of blue on the stencil, leftover blue from I don't know what or when. Okay, so that kind of smeared around on the page, and I'm like, well, that's okay. How are we going to mimic it in the other one? So I just did some blues, just slight blue. I don't even know that I wrote down that color. Okay, so anyway, this dear stencil was a gift from someone. I don't remember who. I'm so sorry, but thank you. And if I'd have been smarter, because y'all know sometimes I'm not so smart, I would have used my little fingertip brushes to have applied it instead of the big makeup brush. Okay, because, yeah, that would have been more butter. I should set them up there inside where I keep the makeup brushes so they will all be together, and I can be like, oh, I'm doing something small. I can use the fingertip brush instead of the big brush. Or, you know, y'all know. I'm not so smart sometimes. Okay, so clean it off, y'all. Evidently, it was important that y'all saw I cleaned this stencil with baby wipe. Okay, wet wipe. Oh, here's the center. Okay, because it's open spread like that, I'm just taking it all out. And we've got this big old giant tree mask. I like it. I've used it before. I've got a small one too. Anyway, we're good. That color, it looks brownish, but it's really a rose gold. So it has some shimmer to it. And we're using that, and then we're going to use, I think that yellow, I don't remember the name of the yellow, sunshine yellow, sunflower yellow, I don't know what it is. Description box does have a list of ingredients, the inks that I used, all the stencils that I used, and yes, some of them are from iStencils, and I do have my affiliate link down there. Okay, it's gonna be in the description box. They have more than, they just have just carp loads of them, and the service, the customer service, this is not a promotional video, but I will tell you the service is excellent. Okay, likewise, I think I've used some artist seller stencils. Excellent service with them as well. Not an affiliate. Anyway, my mask does move around, shift around a little bit, and I'm really not overly worried about it because this is a haphazard, and it's soft-ish kind of colorations. And Champ is scratching around on the. Will you just lay down already, man? Oh, he's not a man, he's a dog. Anyway, my baby. Anyway, moving along. So this is Dana Wakely by Ranger, per sure. And we are going to mix two different types of embossing, or, you know, texture paste stuff. I'm using the Nouveau Expanding, and all my texture paste is dry, y'all. It's too dry, you know. Anyway, we'll put more water in it later. And I'm also using some Bray Reese gold, which has some texture to it because it's a matte gold. I wanted a variation in the color there. That's why I'm doing those two, because I had the Nubo expanding in white and I had the Bray Reese in the gold. Okay, and because it is so dry, it does, because you're pushing much harder with drier paste than you do with the wet one. I do smoosh it up underneath the stencil, but there again, I'm not overly worried about it. I just scrape off the excess, okay, and it's virtually, you can't see it, all right, okay. Which we have a photo montage. There's a lot going on in this video, y'all. So here I'm like, okay, well, let's put some more water in there, because, you know, somebody doesn't use their supplies like they ought to. So we do that. And the next time I use it on the other signature middle page, it will be better, but I'm not showing you that. Because it's expanding mousse, if you hit it with the heat gun, y'all, it will expand and puff up a little bit, okay? I didn't want it overly puffed, but just some, okay? Because the gold will not puff up unless it has the expanding paste under it. Oh, made me so stinking happy. Now, here again, because my paste was so dry, it's more inclined to want to lift up from the paper, because the wetter it is, the more solid it's going to stick to the paper. It actually sort of glues itself to the paper. But because mine was dry, or almost too dry really, it doesn't have as good an adherence to the paper as it should. So I'm going over it with a satin gloss varnish to make sure it stays stuck to my paper like I want it to. Okay, so here we are, and because I put the gloss on there, or the semi-gloss on there, I want to make sure those pages don't stick, because I didn't let it dry a real long time, y'all. I probably went and had a sandwich and came back out. Okay, that's probably about it. So I put some silicone coated parchment paper between there before I folded it over. Now we're going straight into making the paper, and this is where my video started getting corrupt. I don't know, have a clue, don't know, don't have a clue what happened. I will give you more information towards the end of the video. Okay, I come back and tell you what I'm doing, giving you information on who you can go to that will way more better explain it. Okay, so I've got Elmer's all-purpose glue. How much did I use? I don't know. I just put some in that little bowl. Then I put some water in there. How much? Not as much water as I did glue. This is a mixture of coffee grounds and tea leaves. You know, used tea leaves, use coffee grounds. Okay, so we're just sprinkling it on there, and then about this time I'm like, oh, we've got some little pressed flour bit stuff, and we're putting that on there. And I think the footage that got lost was where, yeah, totally glitched out. Totally. I also put some gold threads on there, okay? Now, because it's a winter journal, I wanted a sweater on my cover. But I didn't want a sweater, because we don't wear that kind of clothes down here, okay? But I found this, this was one of those infinity scarves, all right, at the charity shop, and it was the right price day, okay, because it had a red sticker on it, which meant it was 75% off. So I got this infinity scarf, knitted scarf, for 75 cents. So anywho, I, you know, clipped it apart and did all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah. So we got it on our cover, and we used Yes Paste, which, thank you, dear sweet internet admirer. I love my Yes Paste. Anywho, So we've got our paper. It's all dried. It dried overnight, over weekend, whatever it was, because, you know, this was not a every day in a day in a week thing. Anyway, I thought, it's 2 layers of deli paper, which is fairly secure. I mean, it makes it about a copy paper weight, whatever. But I wanted these to be pockets. I had 4 sheets, and I cut them down to size, and then I thought, well, I want them to be pockets. So I'm using the Tyvek again on the inside of the pocket, which is mostly the craft side of the paper. And we're just putting a very thin strip of the Tyvek in there. We let it dry-ish, you know. And we're going to adhere down now this, what I'm calling sweater. It's not a sweater, but y'all know what I'm saying. We're sticking that onto, oh, I sewed the sweater fabric stuff to the page, okay, which will be a pocket. But you'll have to wait for that. Now we're putting some diamonds on it. Okay, these are the same diamonds we used on the winter embellishments, and I love them. And if I ever see these kinds again, I'm going to get some more because I love them. They're very faceted. So, how's it going? Okay, I don't know. Voiceover screw up. I mean, why not? Why not? So we're doing all that. Okay. Fabrics. Now we're getting ready to sew the signatures in. My accordion part disappeared. I don't know what happened to that part of the video. I mean, I was recording and I thought it was all on there. And when I copied it over to my editing stuff, it was like, what, you know, anyway. So we're going to sew it on. We're using white wax linen thread. And that's the accordion thing, which I'll talk about that in a minute, or 5-20 dozen hours. And we're sewing this in not the first valley, but like the second valley. Okay? So that's what we're doing. We're pamphlet stitching it in there. Okay? And it's kind of fiddly. I'm not going to say it's not fiddly. It's kind of fiddly. I didn't mark everything precisely exactly because, you know, rulers are guidelines. They're not rules. They're not a law. Okay? Rules are made to be broken by me. So, we're doing that. Now, this is going to be our pocket. Okay? But we need it open so we can sew it in there. Alright? Make sure it's all in there nice and tight. Going to tie it in a knot, double knot. Now we're going to glue it together, and we're going to use, I was going to use the glitter glue, and I thought, no, I want something a little heavier. So we're using my tacky glue because it's my favorite. And we're putting a pretty thin line because I don't want, you know, I want as much pocket as I can get. Alright? Okay. Now we're lining that up, and we're going to smoosh down the edges, right? The glue edges. We're kind of reinforcing the fold. I'm just using my little thumb. I'm not using the bone folder because I don't have a real bone folder, but I have bone folders. And here comes this is actually the second signature because it's going in the back. And I always recommend, I don't know if I always recommend, but I do recommend you check to make sure everything is facing in the correct direction that you want it in. So you don't have to re-sew stuff, okay? Mine was, God. It was. So, anywho, this is going in the next valley over. I'm sewing the signatures in the valleys. And this is probably where I probably could have cut a lot of this out, but y'all need company when you're vacuuming, right? Or doing the dishes, or you're trying to sleep and you got insomnias and you're like, well, I can't sleep, so might as well watch APG Jamie because she is so entertaining. because art should be fun. Just saying. And this particular journal makes me so stinking happy. Have I said that already? Any hooties, I don't know. I might show you me sewing in every single signature. I should stop the video as I'm voicing over and check it out, but no, not going to do it. Okay, so now we're going to the next valley over. We're going to put in what is actually going to be the first signature, because I started from the back and building up. Don't put the covers on yet, because this is a flippy floppy kind of spine, okay? And you're better off putting your signatures in first and then putting your cover on, okay? More about that later, okay? Okay. Now, if you want to see a really good pamphlet stitch sewer, that's Barb Owen. I don't have the link to that video of hers, but you need to watch Barb Owen anyway, because I said so, that's why. She's got an awesome tutorial on the pamphlet stitch. Y'all know I'm not so much quite a tutorial person. I'm a more of this is how I did it, okay, kind of person. And, you know, even that's probably hit and miss, So, okay. Well, fortunately, there's only 2 signatures and 2 pockets to put in. So it's not like, you know, not like we're doing an encyclopedia kind of thing. All right. See? Oh, lots of space, y'all. Anywho, here's our other pocket, and we're just going to fold that up because we've got our tie back in there. That doesn't, it doesn't know it's supposed to fold in the middle ish. So, and I know I'm using a ruler to mostly mark my 3 O's, okay, and we get pretty close, so you know that's good. Wax linen thread. I have to wear a thimble because it's how I made quilts for years and years, and I hand pieced them, so I wear a thimble, and it's really, really, really hard for me to sew without a thimble. Anywho, putting on our last pocket. We only have 2 pockets. I did not make extra valleys in this particular journal because I'm like, no, because I just want what I already have, okay? You can do a longer accordion concertina fold, so you'll have more valleys to sew in if you want to expand your journal later, okay? I did not want to do that, so I was able to get the right number the first time. Gonna glue that pocket together. We only have to glue 2 sides, okay? It's like if you were gonna sew in an envelope, you would make an envelope, and then you would stitch it in so that your stitch is hidden inside the envelope, and then you could glue it all together. We've done that before too, y'all. I have a lot of videos. You should go back and peruse. That means take a gander and look around at some of my videos. Now, some of them's kind of old, and you know, we weren't that fancy on filming and editing and voicing over and all that, because you know, you got to grow into it. You got to become accustomed to it. So, anyway, now we're getting ready. We're kind of like bolting everything. It's like, okay, now you're going to be a journal, so y'all have to be happy. We're just like thumbing through, smashing that down. Here comes our back cover, I think. Oh, wait, I forgot to cover the inside. Poop-a-doo. So this is the mono printed paper that we had left over from our ghost journal printing. I had such high expectations to make several ghost journals, but no. I made one and I thought, do I really want to do this that many times? No, I don't. So I just made 2. One for me and one I gave away. Halloweenisms. Any hooties. I'm cutting it down to size, and yes, this is an old cutter because, you know, it was the one I grabbed first. That's really why. So my video just glitched on me. that will for sure give us a special voiceover. just in case you was wondering if that was going to happen. Pretty sure it will. Cutting these down to size, they are slightly smaller than the inside covers boards. And I didn't tell you about the boards. I had two so we're going to use our Yes paste to stick the papers down, okay, onto our cover. Oh, the cover, that's what I was, oh my gosh, y'all. Short-term memory. It's an issue. So I had two cracker boxes. Cut them apart, cut them to size, you know, slightly bigger than my inside pages were going to be. And I painted one side, the side that's got the words on it, just around the edges, just in case anything stuck out. And I did that for both sides. Then I took the other part of the cover with the words on it and glued it to each other, so that I have two pieces of cracker box together. Okay, you want to make sure everything's all the same wording, going the same way. Otherwise, your box, your board will twist. It will warp and twist because it has a grain to it. Right. All right. So, sticking them down. Now, I did not have two of the same kind of page, but they're close enough because they were all done at the same time. I am almost out of that ghost paper. I'm going to keep it with this journal though, because we used some of it for those clusters too. Now we're gluing our back cover on, and we're putting the sweater part on the outside. So I'm using the Fabrifix. That's some pretty good stuff, y'all. And we're smooshing it down and smooshing it down. And we're going to let it semi-dry-ish, smooshing it down. We're going to do the front, and yeah, that way, whatever way. And I'm just putting that on the very first part of the accordion fold, okay? So that the folded paper or cardstock is on the outside of the journal cover, okay? We're smooshing it down, and then we're going to let that dry, maybe. I don't remember if I did or not, because the Fabrifix grabs pretty quick, and I thought, oh, that part was a little loose, so we stuck some more in there. Hopefully, voiceover's not too horribly out of wackadoodle. Okay. Now, if you're using a wet glue, you're going to want to leave it open and let it dry so that your accordion fold pieces don't stick to each other. Okay, you don't want that. All right. Now, I've got these little pine tree buttons, and I thought they're perfect. So we're going to use some pine trees on the back part because they're flat-ish, and we're going to put some jingle bells on the front part, but the jingle bells are smallish, and they don't make much of a jingle sound, but I got it in my head, and y'all know I'm hard-headed like that sometimes. I'm like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to do it this way, and it's going to work. I'm going to make it work. Anyway. Same cracker box cut down into narrow-ish strips, and using original tacky glue, so I can glue on the same washi tape that we used for some of those winter clusters that we'd made. Okay, so I know only 2 more days of the video. I love you guys so much. And then we have to let this dry. Actually, I think I hit this with the heat gun off and on, not straight through, because washi tape, it's kind of a delicate tape, and I do use glue with it on account of, you know, it will lose its stickum, and if it's already old, yeah. It either gets really gummy, gooey, old, or it totally loses its stickum. So now, again, we're using a ruler so that we can better eyeball, and we're going to poke some holes in there because we're going to put some eyelets in the front, but we're not putting eyelets in the back. Why not? Because I didn't think I would need them. That's why I wanted them in the front, because I wanted my jingle bells to like kind of pop up a little more. The trees will pop up a little bit because they have a shank button. It's a shank button. That means there's this loop thing on the back of it, y'all. Okay, so we're getting out our thread because I'm thinking, well, I'm going to use the same wax linen thread. Well, this becomes a problem later on, and we'll work it out, which you'll see in another couple of days. I'm just joking. It's probably more like, what is it, like 15 more minutes before we get to that part. And I'm tying them on, okay, running the thread through the little, I'm going to say jump ring, but it's not a jump ring, okay? It's just part of the bell. And they're not really bells. I just tell myself they were bells. So we're tying that all together, so that, you know, if one comes off, they all gonna come off. They're pretty secure though, because y'all know I like my glue. They're pretty secure, because we're gonna put some tacky glue on the back there to hold all them threads in place. And you wouldn't think that you could necessarily glue something that was waxy like the thread is, but you know, it works pretty darn good with the tacky glue. Just throwing that out there. Okay, now we're going to mark out for our trees, because it was important that you see me do both of these. Okay? I hope the whole year don't go this way, because I don't know how many of these voiceovers I can do that are that long. How many would you want to listen to? That's more of the question, right? Same poking, same holes, not using eyelets. Oh, I know why I didn't do sometimes, y'all. Sometimes I can't get my story straight before I tell it. I did not use the eyelets because the shank of the tree buttons would not fit into the eyelet. That's why I didn't use them. But it fit into the hole, because, you know, it kind of like plugged down in there. And I thought, well, let's put some glue on it. I should not have put the glue on there, because, you know. Anyway, I put some Fabrifix on there, but I quickly get that removed later on, and you probably don't even see that part of the video. So we're going to sew these on. Well, we're not sewing them on. We're going to tie our thread through the back shank of the button once it's through the little piece of cardboard. Okay? Explaining's not necessarily my forte, or my first day, or my 20th day. So we're going to put our thread through there, and we're tying it. Now, the wax linen stays tied very well. And we're doing individual threads, because we're going to have it wrap around the butt. But y'all will see I'll get that flipped around the wrong way, too. Oh. I do like the Expandable Spine journal, okay? It definitely can have its uses. Just saying. Okay, gluing them threads down. How's our voiceover going? Yeah, it's whatever. Make sure it's facing the right way, because I want the jingle bells on the front and the trees on the back, because the trees are flatter. But I'm going to open that up, and in my head, my threads needed to go across the back cover. Do not put your threads across the back cover, because that is wrong. You want your thread ends to go across towards the front of the cover, unless you're going to put your tie spot on the back, in which case you would do it the opposite, reverse. Okay, so I'm doing that, and at some point, I don't know if it's caught on film or not caught on film, I don't remember. I will flip it around so that my threads go across the spine towards the front cover. Okay, now we're also in about 5 minutes ish. I will have a long segment, about a 15-minute segment, where I explain this stuff that didn't film. Okay, during that segment, I didn't know if I was going to do it after the video, most of the video, or before most of the video. So anyway, so I've got my tree spun around now. Now we're going to put our jingle bell strip on the front, okay? Same way. And I just keep messing with it as it's sticking and drying. I keep smooshing it down and smooshing it down because I want to make sure it's stuck. It is stuck on there, y'all. If I had to pull it off, it's going to tear something up. So there's no pulling that back off. Not, I don't think. No, probably, no, never. Won't do it. So we just keep smooshing it around and smooshing it around. We will have more information about treasure books with the faux handmade textured paper, and more information about Rosemary Morris, the Rusty Peacock, with this actual expandable spine, okay? Because that's who did it first. Now, because I got it all open, I'm going to go ahead and stick on my cover embellishment, because after I made that, I thought that's when I figured out I needed to make a winter journal. Okay? Okay. Because fun stuff. So, hopefully this segment will smoosh into the other one and we won't have much voiceover issues. Get ready. Okay. So we interrupt this video because of, I don't know, misrecording, glitchy, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to start with the faux handmade paper. Now, I'm going to tell you how I did it, but I'm also going to recommend that y'all go see Treasure Books faux handmade textured paper video dated December 7th of 2019. Okay, I'll put a link in the description box below. All right, y'all. So, because this is where my video messed up. I don't know if I showed you, I started using the freezer paper. It's waxed on one side, white on the other. Stuff doesn't stick to it. Then I have basically a 12 by 12 sheet of craft colored deli paper. I'm not sure if this one is lightly waxed on either side. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. I like it. Okay, I like the deli paper. It's slightly thicker than my usual white. Can you hear the difference? That's the white one. That's the craft color. What I did was I took Elmer's all-purpose glue, put it in a cup, put some water in it. How much water? I don't know, about that much water, so that it was basically heavy whipping cream thickness, viscosity. Fancy word. Smeared it on my whole thing. Okay, I had it on top of the butcher paper, right? Or whatever, freezer paper, and covered my whole thing. And the reason I used Elmer's instead of my usual matte medium, which I do love to use, is because it does stay wet longer than matte medium. Okay, then I put my little inclusions on there, which was coffee and tea bits and some thread and some little tiny flower blollies or whatever. All right, now you have to work kind of quick-ish. Okay, you don't want to go real slow because you don't want this surface to dry, because once you start putting your stuff on there, you cannot re-wet it with your glue unless you totally let it dry and then come back and re-wet it. But you're taking your chance on that, okay? Now, what Treasure Books did was she used napkin on top, okay? Which I have napkin, but I didn't want to use that. I wanted to use my familiar and favorite deli paper, which is a Dixie brand, and it comes flat. There's no folds in it. And it is lightly waxed on one side, but I can't never tell what side has the wax side. So I put my inclusions on. I laid this on top, more or less centering it. As you can see, they're not quite the same size, but that's fine. And then I smashed it down this is the part that didn't film, with my hands really well, you know, and they're going to get kind of gluey because by this time the glue is kind of soaking through this, all right? Soaking through the deli paper. Then I took my same mixture and I used a foam brush and I smooshed it around on top, and then I took my fingers and I actually literally just worked in and worked out some bubbles, because there's going to be some bubbles, and I was able to work them out with my fingers, okay, from center out and whatever. And the deli paper my deli paper, let me rephrase that, my deli paper held up to that without tearing, ripping, or getting any holes in it very well. If you use napkin or tissue paper, either one, you cannot work it that roughly, okay, because that's a delicate paper, whereas deli paper is not near as delicate as tissue. Okay, so that is about the faux handmade texture paper, right? Now we're going to talk about the accordion spine, or the concertina type of spine, for the expandable spine portion, which I don't even know what happened to that one. All right. Now this spine technique was first brought to us, to my knowledge, to me, I should say to me, not necessarily us, by Rosemary Morris, the Rusty Peacock, okay? And it is her October Caboodle Asia 2 video, dated October 7 of 2021. The spine, the accordion fold, and how to put that together actually starts about the 1 hour 54 minute mark, okay? You are more than welcome, and I encourage you to watch our whole video because, yeah, entertaining stuff, y'all. This is how I did mine, slightly different, okay? Which shouldn't surprise anyone. Okay, I had whatever my book height was, and I scored my first one at 1/2 inch, right? Then I came over 1/8 of an inch and scored again, because this is going to be the beginning, the beginning part of my spine. Then from that mark I came over another 1/2 inch, all the way until I reached whatever the end was. The reason for this is because my cover is thicker than my signatures, and I wanted to leave just a little bit of a gap, hence the 1/8 inch, okay? And I filmed this part, but I don't know what happened to it, y'all. It's just whatever, it's crazy. So I'm going to try to show you. Now it's kind of hard to fold. Of course, if you score more butter than I do, then it'd be more butter, okay? So what I ended up with is just a small, let me see if I can get it under the camera, a small square edge instead of just a point, all right? And because I counted over for another 1/2 inch, my edges are going to be all the same. And then once I reached whatever my measurement was for this, for the other end, I did the same thing, where the back cover is going to connect into here, and that gave me a better fit for my front cover and my back cover, and still have my accordion folds all in there, okay? Now, I don't know if Rosemary mentioned it or not. What I found is I used the same wax linen thread that I sewn my signatures in using a pamphlet stitch, which hopefully y'all saw. or will see, depending on if I put this in the beginning of the video, in the middle, or the end. I don't know. It'll be a surprise for all of us. I noticed that when I wrapped it here, I'll show you on this one. When I brought my wax linen thread around to the front and wrapped it around, these are jingle bells. They don't jingle bell very well, but they're jingle bells, okay? When I wrapped it around and then brought this back to the back and wrapped it around my button tree, because the trees are fancy buttons, y'all, okay? When I go to open this, the threads here pop up and it will actually come unlooped, okay? Now, would that have done that if I had a flat piece here, a wider piece? I probably not, but I insisted on having my jingle bells on the front, so there we go. So what I've done to stop that issue, well, I have not finished it, is I've taken a piece of embroidery floss, whatever length I cut it, okay? I have another piece here. Oh, it's all tangled up because, you know, video. Not doing a voiceover segment. I've taken it, made a loop, wrapping the loop around my jingle bell, pulling the loose ends through the loop so that you have one of those kind of fasteners, okay? It's just on there loosely. If I need longer, I can make it longer. If I need shorter, I can make it shorter. And then I'm going to wrap that around the tree. If I can get it around my button tree. And I put the buttons on the back because they're flat, and the jingle bells on the front because they're round. And that seems to have stopped that issue of it coming unwrapped from there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end up cutting these off and finish putting on my embroidery floss that way. I think that's it, really. So basically, what's left to do is some decorating and or journaling or whatever I feel like doing. The thing about the expandable spine is it does open up so that you can work flat-ish. It's not going to be totally flat, okay, but it's flat-ish this way, you know, between your pages, which are sewn in with the pamphlet stitch, which y'all saw or will see, okay? And what I have here is, you know, in the pocket, in my faux handmade paper, which I love with the deli paper. I put all those winter embellishments that we made because they will be added to the journal at some point, and I may or may not do another flip through when I get it, you know, however I want it, y'all. So just a little clip, and I have a couple of extra pages of the faux paper. I cut it down to size and had some scraps and everything, and that folds. You might have to fiddle with it, but it will fold back up. Also, the other part that didn't get filmed is before. Okay, now we're going to backtrack. Y'all know me, crawfishing. Before I put my score marks in it and folded it up, I took a piece of Tyvek, the same size as my cardstock. I glued it on there with matte medium, because matte medium is not as hard of a glue as the tacky glue is, which is my favorite, y'all. And I let that dry overnight. Then I scored it so that, because it is just cardstock, and it will be folding and unfolding, and the Tyvek is on the inside, but it has virtually disappeared on the inside. I went over it with a little bit of this antique white with just a little bit of the white. I mean, tiny bit of the white and the antique white. And just carded over it, and so that the color actually just the white of the Tyvek just basically disappeared. And hopefully that will do it for the Miss recordings. And if you have any questions, as usual, leave them in the comments and I will get back to you on that. I hope that went well. So this is where I was showing the flip through before I made the repair to the strings. Okay, so alright. Anyway, we're going to do a little flippy through-ish. But look how big it gets, y'all. Whoa. That's some expansion on that spine, people. Got some expansion going on, and it just smooshes back up, and you do it better with the new string because that system works more better. Because it does. We'll get there eventually. Wrapping. My strings are just a little long. So here's our cover. See, it's expandable. Here's our pocket. And our pages. We're just going to flip through. Yes, there's still going to be a photo montage. You just need to wait for it. Look at those faces. Aren't they cute? It's hard to see the embossed page. And, you know, here comes the second signature. It's essentially the same as the first, only slightly different. Because that's, you know, there's some variation going on. And pocket. And I think I'm going to stick pockets on the inside covers too, because why not? I like them. See? Yeah. That's why we fixed it. Okay. Photo montage. If you have stuck around this long, you are an excellent viewer. Thank you so very kindly. If you did not stick around this long, why are you still listening to me? Oh, y'all. I do appreciate each and every one of you. I'm so glad you're here, that you've been able to watch this. And if you're just watching the photo montage and you skipped everything else, I appreciate that too. So much. All your kind comments. If you have questions, I know I said it once, I'm going to say it again. If you have any questions, description box below. There's comments, there's information in the description box that might answer some of your questions. If not, just, you know, whatever. Contact me somehow and ask your question. Ask it. And I will do my best to answer it. When was the last time you shared a video? Especially a long video. Almost an hour, y'all. Okay. I appreciate each and every one of you. Your kind comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and your shares. Thanks for watching, and happy arting, y'all.